Hey there, John with Crow's Nest Craft. It has been a while and I figured my first thing back would be something big. This is going to be a full fantasy tavern. For a few friends of mine that run a fantasy podcast, they gave me this little zine with maps made by Sound Pukey Girl and put together and written by the Hungry Familiar. David, Jeremy, and Steven are the three guys that make up Fantasy Pants. It is a D&D podcast, as you probably could have guessed. I play D&D with David regularly. He's actually DMing a Frost Maiden campaign for me right now. I really like the guys, and I've been hanging out with them for about a year at some local events, and I thought it was high time to listen to the whole podcast. I have a job that I can listen to pretty much anything I want at work, so I went through it real quick. 130 something episodes in about a month. But before I really knew the guys, I was given this zine at a convention I was guesting at that they were also doing some live shows at. It has a lot of cool information in it as far as their NPCs and stuff, but specifically it had this map that I am using to measure out the entire tavern. I figured instead of kind of coming up with my own building, like doing my own fantasy in, I would take the measurements of this and kind of do my best with some, creative liberties thrown in there and make my own Ugly Coyote. After taking all the measurements from the map, I went over to this dollar store foam board. It's the kind of stuff used for projects at school. I peeled the paper off the sides, then I cut it up with a box cutter and used a sanding block to sand down the edges. Next, I used a large wire grill brush to give it a wood grain texture. If I didn't say it earlier, I'm using just dollar store supplies and some trash around the house to make this, so I'm keeping it on theme by using this pick I got from the dollar store craft aisle to separate all of the floorboards to make them look more like planks. Did all the joints here, and then I came back and put little dots for where I think the nails would be. A lot of the steps coming up are kind of rinse and repeat. I kind of have all of the walls measured out. I use a ruler, cut it with a box cutter, and go through, adding some texture here to make it look like a brick wall. This is a device that you actually use to change tires on a bicycle, if you believe it, and it works really well for adding those grooves. You can grab one in any tube repair kit. I am now using some aluminum foil all balled up to roll over it and give it a stone texture. Coming up on my first fuck up, I made that L shape the wrong direction. So what I did was chop it up, and I'm gonna splice it together and put a comic book backing on it to kind of give it a nice hard shell. Then we got fuck up number 2. I made the walls way too tall, but to remedy that, I decided to split the wall in half and then put a length of the wall down at the bottom of just the stonework on the interior, so it's a little bit of a two-tone between the stonework and then the plaster kind of texture there. It also adds a bit of stability between the walls, so I cut angles on them, glued them all together, and start assembling the actual structure. Based on the map, this is the placement of the front door and windows, so I'm gonna carve those out with an X-Acto knife. Then for the chimney, I'm gonna use this long bit of isolation foam. I'm using a nail file and that same bike tool to make it look like bricks. So I'll have this chimney and I'll carve out a bit at the top. The brickwork on the interior walls is actually working out because I can carve out a little bit here so I can then hot glue and slide in the sections of walls, and it has just a little bit more durability to it. I'm going to be skipping around a bit here. I'm going to be putting a wall in here. Next, I'm going to be cutting out another window that I forgot to do in the first place. There's going to be another one over there where the bar is eventually gonna go. Here I am making a staircase out of the foam board. I really eyeball a lot of this, and I think it being an old rundown tavern gives me a little bit of leeway there since it looks a little beat up. Surprisingly, eyeballing it really paid off with the landing here because it fit perfectly on this little hole I cut out to go up to the second floor of the inn. Technically it wouldn't really function altogether, but it looks good. Cutting pieces off of the same foam board that I textured to look like wood grain, I made the bar, and then I textured some more of that foam to make a stone fireplace to go next to the door, making it feel real cozy in there. I have to be careful to leave a little bit of room on top of the hearth because there's something special that has to go up there that has something to do with the story in the podcast, but we'll get there when we get there. Right now, we're gonna start on the second floor, so we're adding all the walls. I got the doorways cut. I did my best to measure things out, but I really had to wing it with a lot of these walls. A lot of the rooms are really weird sizes, and it worked really well on paper, but when I started putting it together with the foam, I started noticing that like some of these walls wouldn't really work when it comes to actual like thick structural walls. So I did have to take some liberties with these hallways. I don't know if real minis would work really well up there, but I got like half of it put together here. I then got bored and started adding some trim work to the exterior. Again, it's that same board that I kept texturing and making look like wood grain. Here I am making some saloon doors, which I think are insanely impractical and a little bit dumb, but David the DM insists on them staying in the tavern. I think that they should just be interior doors because they make more sense that way, but whatever. Onto the roof, I'm making it out of these like cardboard boxes. This is like cereal boxes. I'm using cookie boxes here. I made the general structure, then I'm chipping away and making a bunch of little tiny shingles out of a bunch of scraps. I will then hot glue each of those on very tediously over and over again while I'm listening to audiobooks, podcasts, whatever. And I continue with that until I get it all together, and I'm gonna hit it with a black paint and Mod Podge mix to protect it. And somewhere in the middle there, I finish the upstairs with all of those little tiny weird rooms. Then once I got every nook and cranny filled with black paint and Mod Podge, I am gonna switch back over to just black paint. I'm gonna take a little bit of a cheap way out of this by doing a flat coat of black paint all over this, and then I'm really just gonna dry brush everything except for some of the interior stuff. I find it easier to take a really dark color like a black and then highlighting it out to make it look really good. It takes minimal effort, especially with terrain. I dry brush with a light gray, and then I moved on to this darker green because I'm trying to make it look a little mossy and old and a little run down, so I bring it out a little bit with this light green. Starting off with the wood grain, I'm gonna be using a darker brown, and then I moved to this like kind of tan, and I even went a little lighter after that just to lighten things up and give it a little bit more dimension. I did a little bit of experimenting here with the walls. I tried to do a white plaster look, but it really didn't look good, so I did more individual colors for the rooms. I used a lot of apple barrel paints with this because again, they're really cheap. They're about 50 cents a bottle, and this green, the blue, and this like brick red covered really well. I'm doing a little bit of trim work here with a brown on top to kind of space out the walls. I used a much nicer black paint and the smallest brush I had to make the Ugly Coyote logo, then muddying up the interior with a black wash that I made with some black paint, water, and dish soap. These beds were actually really fun to make. They're just that foam board I wrapped in fabric, some tacky glue, and I did the head and footboards out of popsicle sticks. Sometimes just using the real material looks better and is easier. That's why I did the popsicle sticks and the real fabric. I then used the black wash to make a nice finish for the head and footboards and made little pillows out of foam. I watered down a tan paint to kind of give a little bit of a stain to the pillows like they're well used. For the exterior, I just dry brushed a very, very light blue onto the black because I feel like blue gives a much better stone look than just doing gray. Give us a little bit of depth and I don't know, just a little bit more color. Now I'm doing the very satisfying like designing time of deciding where all the beds and like furniture is going to go. I'm using these nice little tweezers to put all of these ladders in place that I also made out of popsicle sticks. I'm making a small stove here, and I'm trying to make these little cask barrels again out of this foam that I had. I cut circles out of, texturing to look like some wood grain. For weeks I tried to find something something that would look like barrels, corks, the little things that, like, you know, spools of yarn come on, but I wound up just sculpting them. I have this small furniture from a dollhouse I painted up just to have some comfortable looking couches all over the place. Dry brushing this little stove with some silver to make it look like cast iron. Now I'm coating a little bit of that dollar store fabric in Mod Podge to put on the floor of the kitchen slash bedroom of the owner. This will dry, still looking like fabric, but have a nice coating to it. I made some tables out of those thicker popsicle sticks and hit them with a black wash to give it a nice dingy finish. Placing all of the casks on a rack made out of another popsicle stick. For a nice little touch, I had this fake fire from a Mega Bloks playset that I dry brushed, cut to size, and put in the fireplace. Above the fireplace, where I left that room, is going to be a small memorial to one of the player characters that died earlier in the campaign. The memorial is 2 crossed swords on a plaque with a brass hand that has some magical properties to it that helps protect the people in this tavern. Again, we're gonna do the very satisfying placement of a item with these tweezers right above the fireplace, nice and securely there for all to see. Last minute, I'm gonna be making some trunks out of these small wooden cubes by splitting them up, hitting them with a black wash, and just gluing them all around the tavern. Added some extra flair with some cups, candles, and outdoor foliage. And voila! I had an absolute blast making this. I also listened to a few episodes of the Fantasy Pants podcast while building this. I always have a lot more fun building terrain than I remember. I always think of all the like chopping and trying to make everything fit just right and how tedious it can be, but it's also really relaxing and, you know, I have a really good time doing it. This is definitely the largest dollar store build I've ever done, if it counts. I know it's technically not a miniature, it's a terrain piece. But I had a lot of people asking what my largest dollar store like miniature build was, and well, this is it now because of how big it is. Everything in here is dollar store foam board, those little clear straws that I made the cups out of. The only thing in here that's not from the dollar store is the insulation foam, but I really didn't use that much of it, just the casks and the chimney. The tools were also all from the dollar store, so yeah, I guess this is a very entry-level thing because you don't really need any special equipment for it. Also, say hi to Oscar. He's been trying to shove himself into frame here for a minute. I've been meaning to come back to this channel for a while, and I'm really sorry, so I'm not sure of how many people are actually going to watch this video, but to those that did, I hope you really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed making this. It was a bit of a challenge for myself. I'm going to try to make more videos, you know, a little bit more frequently. I do kind of always say that, but you know what? Hang around. Maybe once every 6 months you will get to see something cool like this. If you have any suggestions, reach out to me. I kind of want to do something big and fun again. I'm playing with the idea of like some sort of a pirate ship or something like that. So yeah, let me know what you think. And also check out the Fantasy Pants podcast. They are really cool guys, and I don't think they'll mind me saying that they hit their rhythm around like episode 10. Before then, they're still kind of getting their bearings, but check them out, and I hope to see you next time.